9 elements of design in the decorator's voice. I'm a certified interior decorator, professional organizer, and planning and productivity strategist. And if those are topics that you're interested in, please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for notifications. So today is day 14 of the VLOGMAS challenge. And we have someone here who's making a lot of noise. He wants to be seen. This is Simon. Okay, you're on camera, so go. He's been trying to get in my videos for the longest. But anywho, so today is day 14, and we're going to do a little bit of a story time. So I didn't do anything today. I pretty much just stayed home and just watched Netflix and just kind of relax and just think about everything. And then I thought about this one story from an event that happened literally a couple of years ago. So basically, me and my family, well, this story just tell you really how small the world is. And I apologize for all these weird sounds Simon's making. He's just right here, just trying to get on the couch and be in the video. But Simon, you cannot be in the video the whole time. Okay, so we're going to talk about how small the world is. A few years ago, me and my mom and my kids went on a cruise. And we were in Jamaica. So you know when you get off the cruise ship and you go to the port and you get ready to take the bus that's going to take you to wherever you're going to go, you normally just kind of wait in line and waiting. Well, I was waiting in line, and there was like a little young girl right behind me and her mom, and we just kind of struck up a conversation. And, you know, came to the point like, you know, where do you live? And, of course, they lived in Texas, or they lived near Texas. Now, Texas is big. I mean, Texas is like its whole country. It really is its whole country. So they said, well, what part of Texas? And I said, Dallas. And it says, really? Well, we're in Dallas. You know, what part of Dallas? So although I said Dallas, I actually live in a suburb. So for the purposes of this video, we'll call the suburb Louisville. So I said, oh, yeah, I live in Louisville. And then they said, oh, my uncle is a police officer for the Louisville Police Department. And I said, really? What's his name? I used to work for the Louisville Police Department. I did some volunteer work there for a couple years. What's your uncle's name? And they said, oh, yeah, his name is Kevin. And I'm like, what? Kevin? That was my supervisor. Wow. I mean, here we are halfway around the world. And, you know, her uncle is or was my supervisor. It gets crazier than that. So, you know, we're talking back and forth about the whole area and Kevin and all of this stuff. And then I asked her, I says, did Kevin ever tell you that weird story about how his family, his mom and dad, which would have been your grandparents, almost died from carbon monoxide poisoning? And she kind of looked at me like the deer in the headlights. And I'm like, yeah, you know, they were in the house asleep and the wrong number had called their phone. They picked up the phone, the person hung up. Well, the mom picked up the phone, hung up, and then she realized, you know, something wasn't right. Her husband, he wasn't asleep, he was passed out. And she just felt really woozy, and she just didn't know what was going on. So she called 911, and then she went to the garage and opened up the garage door. And before the garage door even opened up, I believe she passed out. Well, the ambulance came, and they got her, and everything was taken care of. So I'm telling this story to this young lady. And she's like probably in her early 20s, and she's still looking at me kind of crazy. And she's like, oh my God, you're freaking me out right now. I'm like, why? She says, well, you don't even know half of the story. I'm like, okay, well, tell me, what's the other half? She said, well, my grandma and my mom and herself, their numbers, or the last two of their phone numbers were like the reverse. So maybe her last two was 14 and then the grandma's number was 41. Well, she was like 16 or 15 at the time. And this is the girl. She snuck out of her house to go be with her boyfriend. And the boyfriend was calling her to make sure she made it back in the house, you know, fine, without, you know, being suspected by her parents and all of that. So when the grandparents picked up the phone and it was the grandparents on the other line, he hung up. So it literally was just a freak chance that he called the grandparent instead of her. And if he would not have, they would have died from the carbon monoxide poison. I don't know. I don't know what happened, what caused the carbon monoxide. I forgot. I mean, this is a long time ago, but you know, it was really crazy, this coincidence, because I'm in Jamaica, or either Bahamas, one of them, halfway around the world, telling this girl a story about her, the effects of her breaking out or sneaking out of her house. So I said, well, did your family ever find out? And she said, well, the next day when all the family discussed it, she never mentioned anything because, you know, she was still a kid. But once she became an adult and got a little bit older, you know, she kind of told the family that, you know, what happened to the story. But that whole story is just crazy because I remember that story because it's just so interesting. And I'm always afraid of like carbon monoxide. You know, it's like if your fire detector goes off, I'm like, well, is it a fire detector / carbon monoxide poison detector? Because I want to know. But anyway, it was just crazy that I'm halfway around the world and I'm telling this girl a story about herself. So this is just an example of how the world really is so small. And I actually have like a couple other examples. So if I ever have a day that I need to do a vlog and I need to do a story time, I'll probably tell those as well. But that whole story really freaked me out. So anyway, thank you for staying and watching this Vlogmas. I know this episode wasn't as interesting as the other ones, unless you like stories like that. I know the next couple of days, I do have some interesting things coming up. I still have about, I think, 11 more days. No, actually 10 more days of Vlogmas, so I have some more things to do. But anywho, thank you very much for being on this Vlogmas journey with me. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much and have a divine day. Goodbye.